This is Houston Matters. I'm Graig Cohen. Tesla CEO Elon Musk recently notified all company employees of a new policy requiring everyone there to return to in-person office work. Musk sent a series of emails on the subject last week, stating that everyone at Tesla is required to spend 40 hours in the office per week, and that the office must be where your actual colleagues are located, not some remote pseudo-office. He went on to say that anyone who doesn't show up in person is essentially resigning their position. That is a pretty firm line against remote working, a practice that has become much more common since the start of the pandemic. Is it ultimately a reasonable expectation? To discuss, we're joined now by Jill Chapman, Senior Performance Consultant for the Kingwood-based HR and Administrative Services organization Insperity, and Michelle Castrow, Manager of Strategic Planning for the Regional Workforce Development Agency Workforce Solutions. Jill, Michelle, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. And, of course, we welcome your thoughts as well. Should Houston area companies be more flexible, or should workers get back to the office all day, every day? Let us know what you think at talk@houstonmatters.org or 713-440-8870. And I'm going to pose that question to the two of you. Jill, let me start with you. What was your reaction to Elon Musk's Tesla policy and this idea of everybody back to work, that's it?
Probably my first reaction was, hey, that's Elon Musk, right? And you just have to take it for what it is. I think that we have a lot of business owners right now that are at this crossroads. We've spent 2 years working from home. Some things worked really, really well. Some things maybe didn't work so well for our employees. And now we're at this place where it finally feels like we could get back to work. We've got the office space. We've got the things available to us. And so they're really struggling. We kind of feel like we're back where we were before the pandemic, because this idea of remote work, it's not new. It didn't just happen because of the pandemic. And we were talking about it a lot even before the pandemic. Some people were embracing it. Some people were still holding it at arm's length. And so maybe we're a little bit back where we started, if you will, but I think for anybody post-pandemic to draw a hard and fast line saying one size fits all and this is the way we're going to rock and roll, it's probably a little dangerous because our employees are feeling very empowered. They've had the same 2 years to think about what they wanted the rest of their lives to look like. And so they're going to come with certain expectations. And I think when we draw hard and fast lines about anything, whether it's working, where we're sitting to work or anything about our work life in the future, I think we could be into troubling waters there.
Okay, looks like there's a train somebody might need to dodge there. Michelle, what's your reaction to Elon Musk's policy?
I agree with you. And yes, that is me. I am at our Workforce Solutions East End office, and that is the train right outside my window.
All right. Well, as long as you're inside and clear of the tracks, that's the main thing.
And so here's where we are right now. Castle Systems has a really great indicator. They are a company that provides access technology. So think about the little swipe cards that we use to get into our parking garage or into our building. And they are showing that in the Houston area, about 50%, buildings are at about 50% occupancy. And not surprising, legal industry is leading that trend. So we are at about 50% occupancy for these knowledge jobs. And it is a really good job market right now. Unemployment is back down to 4.1%. And as of the latest jobs report, we have recovered by number all of the jobs lost in March and April of 2020 due to the pandemic. And our economist, Parker Harvey, does this index where he looks at the online jobs ads versus the number of people that are looking for work. And right now he has found that there are 5.42 jobs for every job candidate. So the market that we're in right now really does give an advantage to the worker. So in terms of what businesses are doing, that is definitely a factor that they must consider, because if you are looking for top talent, the talent is looking for that flexibility. They have had the 2 years of remote work and all of the advantages that come with that flexibility, that quality of life. Many workers are even talking about increased productivity. So if for employers, they do have to do that cost benefit analysis of, do I want the top talent, or am I going to be restricting myself to the old ways of doing business and limiting my candidate pool to only those workers who are ready to come back to the office full time?
Jill, I wonder if with some managers, it's still a challenge that has more to do with their own personality or the way they have managed in the past. That, you know, who tends to end up managing leading organizations? It's somebody who might have a firm vision on what they want accomplished, and might also feel a sense of need to control who is where and when they're there. Is there a certain amount of, maybe if you gave up a little bit of control and accepted the idea that people can be more productive even if they're not chained to their desks, that has to happen a little bit?
Well, you know, I think we saw this really play out during the pandemic. Those people who are maybe resistant to the idea from work from home, you know, about had, you know, a coronary when we all had to go work from home because they felt like nobody's going to be working now. You know, there goes my company, nothing's going to happen. And so they began to really reevaluate how they managed. And it is difficult to manage a remote workforce, and it's different than what you do when you're in the office full time every day. Add in the idea of hybrid, and you're even talking about a different managerial style. So are we in a place where some of these people maybe don't have the energy or the enthusiasm to try to learn how to manage differently or think about managing differently, aren't ready to change their mindset? That could be part of it. And so the opportunity for the managers to embrace new ways of thinking about doing things and new styles of management is going to be incumbent upon them in order to attract that first-class talent, right?
On the other hand, and forgive me for interrupting, Jill, but I'm going to bring Michelle back into this.
Yeah.
On the other hand, do employees in some cases need to rethink how much flexibility they should expect? Because let's face it, not every worker is a self-starter who can accomplish everything they need to without that constant reinforcement.
Absolutely. So again, it is that cost benefit equation on both sides. And so reflecting what Jill said in terms of having managers and supervisors who have the skills to lead remote teams and even the hybrid teams, and restructuring perhaps our performance expectations, because once there was the expectation of reliability and dependability. So we rewarded people for showing up for work every day, showing up on time. Again, that whole idea of how we worked through the Industrial Revolution. But now that we're talking about knowledge jobs and really having to understand how to measure productivity, outputs, outcomes, and restructuring our performance evaluation and our performance expectations for those workers so that those workers know what they have to aim for. Because workers, again, are conditioned. They will do what's expected of them. But if, as managers and supervisors, we don't have a clear path for that, that's where the conflict is going to come in.
That's Michelle Castrow from Workforce Solutions and Jill Chapman from Insperity. And I guess I should note that they both joined us remotely. Michelle, Jill, thank you very much.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
It's always a pleasure.